الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hadith number 12 in the series of Al-Arbaeen An-Nawawiyyah, the 40 hadiths that were compiled by Imam Nawawi. May Allah have mercy on his soul. This hadith was narrated by Abu Hurairah. May Allah be pleased with him. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, part of the perfection of one's Islam is his leaving that which does not concern him. In Arabic, min husni islam al-mar tarkuhu ma la ya'ni. A number of words that you can count on your hands. And that is it. Hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. When you go deep down, you find that the eloquent style of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, concise speech that he has been given, is second to none. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is telling us something that perfects our akhlaq, our adab, our moral conduct, our ethics, our behavior. How to perfect this? The Prophet ﷺ teaches that to us. And he himself told us, I was sent merely to perfect the good ethics and the good moral conduct. So this means that before he was sent, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people had some ethics, but it needed to be perfected. The Arabs were known to be, before Islam, among the brave ones, among the most generous. Al-Hatim Al-Ta'i, the father of Uday ibn Hatim, the companion, Hatim Al-Ta'i was known to be one of the generous people of Arabia, to the extent that he would do anything to honor his guest. Even he goes to the extent of slaughtering his beloved horse to prepare a meal for his guest whom he does not know. It is enough for him that he came and knocked on his doors and came in as a guest. So the Arabs had a lot of beautiful things that one could attribute to them before Islam. The Prophet ﷺ came to perfect what was missing. So the Prophet ﷺ brought us a full package. So he did not only teach us how to pray, fast, and purify our souls. He also told us how to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. He described Allah to us and made us love Him more and more and more. And He made us also be aware of His power, of His might, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is why we love Him and fear Him at the same time. And we hope in what He has in store for us in paradise. The Prophet brought a full package. So he channeled the connection between the servants and their Lord. He channeled the relationship between us as humans, Muslims with Muslims, Muslims with non-Muslims as well. He channeled even our relationship with animals, how to raise them, how to slaughter them, how to be kind to them, even in slaughtering. And this would come, inshallah, later on as we go on studying the hadiths of this magnificent book. The Prophet ﷺ came to us with a full package, even in transactions, how to sell, how to buy, even in self-hygiene, how to answer the call of nature, how to clean oneself, when to remove the unwanted hair, pubic hair, armpit hair, what not to remove, how to dress, how to speak, how to behave, how to connect to your next of kin, what to do when someone does bad things to you. Generally speaking, the Prophet ﷺ did not leave us without guidance. He guided us to every single aspect of life. And that is why whoever follows the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, he's guided in this life and in the hereafter when he dies. He's guided to paradise. But in this life, he's also guided, because the Prophet told us ﷺ the best way to treat and to deal with others. The hadith tells us that we have to perfect our moral conduct, our ethics, our akhlaq. And scholars say that there are 4 hadiths in the Sunnah that this issue of akhlaq, of moral conduct, of good behavior revolves around. The first hadith is, which also is included in the 40 hadiths of Nawawi, that whoever believes in Allah in the day of judgment must say things that are good or keep silent. And the second hadith is the Prophet saying that your Islam would not be perfect until you leave what doesn't concern you, which is the hadith we are studying today. The third hadith is, no one of you would reach the level of Iman, no one would have perfect Iman until he loves for others what he loves for himself. And the fourth hadith is, do not become angry. When the companion asked him for advice, the Prophet said, do not become angry, and he kept repeating that, do not become angry. If one perfects these 4 hadiths and implements them in himself, he would reach the highest level of moral conduct. He would have the best of akhlaq and adab. Going back to this hadith, the Prophet tells us that one would not have a perfect Islam. And we know that Islam deals with visible forms of worship, visible deeds, prayer, fasting, giving zakat, and performing hajj. So part of perfecting your Islam is that you do not involve yourself in something that doesn't concern you. This is part of akhlaq. You do not snoop around. This is part of moral conduct, of your good behavior. And we are in great need for akhlaq. Nowadays, we need this desperately because the Muslims don't have this balance. You either find them in some deviant sects focusing greatly on akhlaq, on moral conduct, on behavior, on high ethics, which is something that we have to hand it out to them that this is good, this is great. But they have a lot of innovations, they have a lot of ignorance, they don't know the law of Islam, they don't implement other aspects of Islam, and this is wrong. And we have on the other side those who know the law of Islam, know the Sharia, and their aspects of Aqeedah is excellent, and their knowledge of jurisprudence and what's halal and what's haram is beautiful. However, they lack the good side of knowledge, which is the moral conduct, the good ethics. So you find them arrogant, you find them harsh, you find them sometimes using bad words, and they have no problem in backbiting people. Yeah, he's a deviant, he's an innovator, he's evil, he's this, he's that. Even righteous people, they have no problem in criticizing and backbiting them and slandering them because they did not elevate their souls and spirits up to the level that Islam required them to do so. So we are in great need of this balance. The balance of knowledge, sound knowledge, and the balance of etiquette and moral conduct, of high levels of ethics. Especially those who claim to be involved in the field of da'wah. Because people will not accept your da'wah until they love you, until they respect you. But if you're arrogant, if you think that you're on top of the world and everyone else is below you, and you can step on people just because Allah gave you some knowledge that made you excel a bit in the field of knowledge, but retreat and go back in the field of ethics, this means that Allah Azza wa Jal did not honor you with the thing that the Prophet ﷺ valued a lot. To the extent that the Prophet ﷺ told us that among those who are closest to me, those who have good ethics and moral conduct, those who will get the highest level of paradise, not those who memorize the Quran well and pray night prayer and fast a day on and a day off, though these are good deeds and beautiful and great deeds, but the Prophet told us that the highest in paradise are those who have perfected their moral conduct and their high level of ethics, of akhlaq. So we are in great need of this balance and teaching the people what to do, how to do it, and how to say it. Now, the Prophet tells us, alayhi salam, that your Islam would not be perfect until you leave what does not concern you. And the word concern means that those who have other people's affairs as their main concern, they have not perfected their Islam. Whether this is being said or being acted upon. But generally speaking, the hadith is referring to what we say, not our actions. And so many times you find that things we say have no value, because what you say either is going to benefit you, or it's going to harm you, or it's in between. It's permissible. And most of the permissible things usually lead to forbidden things. So what we say usually does not benefit us. And this is equivalent to the hadith of Mu'adh, may Allah be pleased with him, when he said, O Prophet of Allah, are we accountable for the things that we say? People think that when they speak and talk and chit-chat, and they backbite and slander and just fill time, or as some people say, kill time by chit-chatting, they think that this is okay. Why would Allah Azza wa Jal hold me accountable for what I say? And this is what Mu'adh thought, may Allah be pleased with him. He said, are we held accountable on the Day of Judgment for the things that we say? And the Prophet said, yes, alayhi salatu wassalam. We have a short break, stay tuned, and inshallah, we'll be right back.
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها.
Soothing verses, awakening contents.
Unlock your hearts. Let us start to reflect and interact with the glorious Quran through simple and interactive grammar exercises.
هو هم أنت أنتم أنا نحن.
Explore the secrets of success that exist in the blessed lines of the Holy Quran.
Using what you recite every day and night, learn 250 words that occur 55,000 times, or 70% words of the Quran. Let's understand the Quran.
Let's join Dr. Abdul Aziz Abdul Rahim in Let's Understand the Quran every Saturday at 4 p.m. and repeat telecast at 2:30 a.m. UK on Peace TV.
We are not addicted to dawah. Addiction implies a short-term fix. One doesn't need to get into the zone to talk about Islam. You do dawah because it is a natural result of your commitment to Allah. If you don't talk, people are going to walk. The most effective combination in the propagation of true Islam is found in Dawah Ilallah. Join me, Arib Islam, as we go through Dawah Ilallah only on Peace TV.
Follow the tips to make the task of Dawah result-oriented in Dawah Ilallah, next on Peace TV.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So, we will be held accountable on the Day of Judgment for what we say. And Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said, whoever considered what he say part of his deeds, in this case he would not speak in something that does not concern him. And this is what the Salaf all used to do. They would count the number of words that come out of their mouths, and they would not speak in anything that does not concern them. Now, we find, unfortunately, that a lot of the Muslims have failed in this test. A lot of the Muslims did not pass the test by continually asking others for what does not concern them. As an example, so many times I go to places, I believe that you probably have the same experience. We go to places and we sit for a wedding, for a walima, and someone sits next to you and he starts his interrogation as if you are in a police station. What's your name? My name is so-and-so. What do you do? I work as so-and-so. Where? How much do they pay you? What's your monthly salary? That's all? You don't have any other incomes? Do you deal in stocks? Are you married? How many wives? Only one. How many kids do you have? Only this? How many girls? How many boys? What's their names? Are any of them married? Where do you live? Do you own the place or you pay rent? Why do you pay rent? Why didn't you buy a house? You don't have a land? Why don't you have a land? Why don't you do this? Why? And it keeps on and on and on. And people get frustrated. Akhi, what are you doing? I'm just killing time. I'm just chit-chatting. You're not chit-chatting. You're interrogating the person. And so many times I meet such people, and the only way not to be rude, you know, you can, from the very beginning, when someone asks you, what do you do? Not even your business. And this would be a little bit rude. And we try our level best to gain people's hearts rather than losing them. So I find that one of the best ways of doing this is to counterattack. So if he says, what do you do? And I say, I work as a so-and-so. What about you? He says, I'm a teacher. I said, mashallah. Then he goes, how much do you get a salary? And I say, well, around so-and-so. What about you? What's your salary? The minute he hears this, he stops. And he moves on to another place, choosing another seat, talking, or actually interrogating someone else. This is un-Islamic. This happens in so many places. It happens in our households. Your wife gets someone that comes and asks her, why didn't you change the furniture? It's been 2 years. Why don't you nag on your husband to make him change the furniture? He has money. I've seen him go with rich people. Your sister changed her furniture 6 months ago. Why don't you tell him to do this and that? And this is extremely dangerous. The Prophet says, alayhi salam, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ خَبَّبَ امْرَأَةً عَلَى زَوْجِهَا. He is not from us, from among us, he who goes and makes a woman turn against her husband. Talking in what do not concern you is an indication that your Islam is weak, that is, your Islam is not perfect. This happens a lot with men, and it happens a lot with women when they just sit there and chit-chat. Did you see our neighbor so-and-so? Her dress last night in the party was awful. The color was ugly, and it probably is not a designer brand. And they talk about the jewelry, how fat she is, how thin she is, how tall, how short, too much excessive makeup. She doesn't wear makeup at all. Her husband is poor, her husband is rich. This does not concern you. This is backbiting, and it's a major sin. And it means that you have no concern in what draws you closer to Allah. Because part of perfecting your Islam is to be concerned with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and see your own shortcomings. What use is it that we look at XYZ and see their shortcomings while being blinded of our own shortcomings? This is what gets you closer to Allah. When I see that I'm not very generous, I go immediately and try to be generous by giving money to the poor. When I see that I feel agitated when people don't kiss my forehead or my head out of respect. I'm a scholar, I'm a da'i. Then this is arrogance in me. I have to fix that and look in the mirror and see the only person that knows your shortcoming is you. So how do you accept people to respect you if you don't respect yourself to begin with? These feelings that I get when I feel angry of someone, I have to oppress it because I have to perfect myself. How to be kind to your enemy? How do you be kind to the one who has insulted you? All of these things, if I want to get closer to Allah and perfect my Islam, I have to be concerned with these issues, not with others' shortcomings and others' income or how they look or where they live and their lifestyle. This does not concern me a bit. Now, having said that, maybe the question would arise and someone would ask, okay, if this is the case, what about if I see someone doing something wrong, someone sinning? Now, do I go and tell him that this is a sin, you should refrain and stop from doing it, or it's not of my business? I should not concern myself with something that is not part of my business. If I see someone not praying, or if I see someone praying in a wrong fashion, do I bring the matter to their attention, or it's not of my job? For example, if I see someone wearing a ring in the middle finger, and I know that the Prophet ﷺ forbade this. Hadith Ali ibn Abi Talib in Kitab al-Libas in Sahih Imam Muslim, the Prophet forbade us from wearing the ring in the index finger and the middle finger. So if I see a Muslim wearing it in the middle finger, do I talk to him, or it's none of my business? Well, Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, you are the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind. You enjoin good and virtuous things, al-ma'ruf, and you forbid al-munkar, which is evil and vice, and you believe in Allah. This is what Allah Azza wa Jal, or how Allah describes the Muslims. They are the best of nations, of people raised to the whole of humanity. Why? Because of these three things. So, if you see someone who needs to be taught, you have to teach him. You have to enjoin good and virtue. So you call them to prayer. You call them to perfect their souls. You call them to be nice to people. If you see someone doing something evil, you have to forbid that evil. And I'll give you an example. You're walking down the street and you see someone raping a woman. What do? Oh, this is not my concern. She deserves it. She was not properly dressed. No, this is evil. You have to stop it, providing you don't harm yourself. So yes, you have to go and intervene and stop this evil. And you have to do that because this is the duty of the whole ummah, the whole nation of the Muslims, that they enjoin virtue and they forbid evil. Wherever you see someone trying to break into your neighbor's house. Yeah, my neighbor is non-Muslim, he's kafir. Enjoy it. No, even if he's a kafir, even if he's a non-Muslim, it is your duty and right to stop that burglar and bring him to justice. Call the police. If you're not possible, try to scare him off or get people to come and subdue him. So this is part of your concern, because this is the order of Allah Azza wa Jal. And not only that, one has a family and his son, 17 years old, he smokes. And he says, well, this does not concern me. Definitely it concerns you. His wife goes out fully glowing with haram things. She's got her face painted with makeup, with lipstick, with XYZ, and she's showing off her beauty. And one says, this does not concern me. It does concern you. Allah Azza wa Jal says, oh, you who believe, ward off from yourselves and your families a fire whose fuel is men and stones. So Allah is ordering you to protect yourself and your families. So don't get confused. Don't mix apple with oranges. Don't get involved in things that do not concern you, but your family affair concerns you, and the ummah's affair concerns you as well. So if you see an evil, you have to forbid it. And if you see room for virtue and good, you have to enjoin it as we are commanded to do this by Allah in the Quran. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu